The road curved gently, lined by tall evergreens and the occasional flash of fading city lights behind them. The air smelled of pine and the first hints of winter frost. Blawan drove with a quiet confidence, occasionally glancing at Ariana, who was lost in thought, tracing the golden ring on her finger with her thumb. "You know," he said softly, "I've been thinking about that first night in the cottage. You were terrified, and I had no idea what to do with someone like you. Someone so full of fire and life. But I wanted to protect you anyway." Ariana smiled, the corners of her eyes crinkling. "I remember thinking you were completely impossible to read. I thought you were untouchable. And yet, somehow, I knew I could trust you." Blawan's eyes softened. "Impossible to read, yes. Untouchable. Maybe I wanted to be. But you found a way in any way." She leaned back in her seat, watching the dark outline of the mountains grow closer with every mile. The cottage lights would soon be visible, a warm glow against the cold, dark forest. It wasn't just a place. It was memory. It was home. It was the reminder that despite everything, they had found each other. "I keep thinking about what you said," Ariana murmured. "About losing everything to find what mattered. It's strange. Pain has a way of teaching you the things that matter most. I never thought I'd appreciate silence, or space, or even the act of waiting. But I do. I understand it now. And I understand you." Blawan nodded, his hand squeezing hers briefly. "And I understand you more than anyone else ever could. Every choice you made, every time you doubted yourself, every moment you thought you were alone. I saw it. And I waited. Not because I was patient, though I was. I waited because I knew you would come back to yourself, and to me." Ariana's eyes glistened in the low light of the dashboard. "Sometimes I think about how different my life could have been if I hadn't made mistakes. If I hadn't run from my father, if I hadn't—" She swallowed, unable to finish. "If you hadn't made mistakes, you wouldn't be who you are now," Blawan said gently. "And you're worth every challenge, every heartbreak, every late night and early morning we've shared. Worth more than I can say." They drove in a comfortable silence for a while, the mountains looming larger, the road twisting through the forest like a secret kept for them alone. The first snow began to fall, small, delicate flakes that dusted the windshield and the tops of the trees. "Remember the first time it snowed here?" Blawan asked suddenly. "You refused to wear a coat because you wanted to feel the wind, whatever that meant." Ariana laughed softly. "I remember. And you chased me around the porch, threatening to throw me into the snow if I didn't let you bundle me up. I thought I was going to freeze, but I didn't care. I just wanted that moment to last forever." "And it did," Blawan said, glancing at her, eyes catching the fleeting sparkle of snowflakes on her hair. "Every moment with you has lasted forever, even the painful ones. That's the strange thing about love, isn't it? The good and the bad, it all becomes part of the story, part of who we are together." By the time they reached the cottage, the snow had begun to settle in the trees and on the roof. The warm amber glow from inside promised firelight and comfort. Blawan parked the truck, and they stepped out into the cold, the crisp air biting gently at their cheeks. Ariana shivered, and Blawan immediately wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. "You always forget how cold it gets out here," he teased softly. "I don't forget," she said, hiding her grin against his chest. "I just like being reminded I have you to keep me warm." The cottage door opened before they reached it, and the familiar scent of pine, wood smoke, and old books greeted them. It smelled like home, like memory, like the beginning of every new chapter they had ever written together. Inside, the fireplace had been lit, casting flickering shadows across the room. The golden ring on Ariana's finger caught the light, reflecting tiny stars across the walls. Blawan set down their bags and took her hand, leading her to the couch. They sank into the cushions, shoulders touching, foreheads leaning together. "You know," he said quietly, "I thought I knew what love was before you. I thought it was passion, intensity, drama. But it's not that at all. It's this. The quiet moments. The knowing you're safe. The simple act of being together when the world falls away." Ariana nodded, closing her eyes against his chest. "I know. I thought love was fireworks. But it's the steady light, isn't it? The one that never goes out, even when everything else does. And we've built that, Blawan said. Through fire, through lies, through mistakes. We've built something permanent. Something that no one can take from us. They stayed like that for a while, listening to the soft crackle of the fire, the wind brushing against the windows, the quiet snow settling over the mountains. Outside, the world could have been chaos, but inside the cottage there was peace. There was love. There was home. Ariana finally lifted her head, looking into Blawan's eyes. Do you think, after everything, we'll ever truly be free of our pasts? I don't know if anyone ever really is, he admitted. But I do know this. Our past doesn't control us. It informs us. It shapes us. And we choose how we live in the present. We choose each other every day. She smiled, a slow, radiant smile that made his heart ache in the best possible way. Then I choose you, she said. Every day, every moment I choose you. And I choose you, Blawan replied, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. 4 hours, they sat together, talking, remembering, laughing, sometimes silently simply enjoying the comfort of being in each other's presence. And as the snow continued to fall outside, Ariana realized something profound. Happiness wasn't about never having pain. It was about having someone to face it with, someone to return to, someone to make even the darkest moments bearable. The mountains loomed outside, timeless and unmoving, but inside the cottage, time had a different rhythm. It moved with them, with the soft weight of love, with the quiet promise of tomorrow. They would have challenges, they would face storms, they would confront mistakes. But for now they had each other, and that was enough. More than enough. Blawan looked at her, hand brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. Do you ever think about what life would have been like if we hadn't met that day? Ariana laughed softly, tears glinting in her eyes. All the time. But it doesn't matter, does it? Because we did meet. And here we are. And that's what matters. Yes, Blawan said, squeezing her hand. Here. Now. Always. And outside, the snow fell, silent and steady, covering the world in white, promising new beginnings, quiet miracles, and the kind of love that endured even the harshest storms. The snow outside thickened, layering the trees and the road with soft white blankets. Inside the cottage, the fire crackled steadily, casting dancing shadows across the walls. Blawan and Ariana sat close, shoulders touching, the quiet intimacy between them more powerful than words. I think about the first winter we spent here, Ariana said softly, tracing the edge of the couch cushion. I was so certain I would fail at life, at love, at everything. I thought fear would define me. But it didn't. Somehow, being here with you, it gave me courage I didn't know I had. Blawan's eyes softened, and he brushed a stray lock of hair from her face. You always had courage, Ariana. You just needed the chance to see it in yourself. I could see it. I always could. That's why I never gave up on you, even when you tried to push me away. Ariana smiled, leaning into him. I was selfish back then. I thought I had to solve everything alone. I thought love was a distraction, a weakness. And yet, it was exactly what I needed to grow, to survive, to understand myself. Blawan nodded slowly, as if savoring each word. It's strange how life works. Sometimes you have to let yourself get lost before you can be found. Sometimes the hardest paths are the ones worth walking. She looked at him, her gaze steady and unwavering. Do you ever regret the way things happened? She asked. The chaos, the lies, the separation? No, he said firmly. Because even in the worst moments, even when we were broken, I knew we would find each other. I knew we were meant to. Everything else, it was just noise. Just tests we had to pass to understand what really mattered. Ariana's hand found his, fingers lacing together. And we did pass them, she whispered. Every single one. We made it through, stronger than we could have imagined. The room fell into a comfortable silence, broken only by the soft roar of the fire. Outside, the snow continued to fall, covering the forest in pristine white. Inside, the cottage was warm, safe, and alive with quiet contentment. Blawan tilted his head, resting his forehead against hers. "Do you remember the first night we slept here? You insisted on staying up, making a list of every fear, every regret, everything that could go wrong in our lives." Ariana laughed softly, a sound that blended with the flickering of the firelight. "I thought if I could name everything, I could control it. I couldn't. But you made it bearable. You made me feel safe even when nothing else was." "And that's what I will always do," Blawan said quietly. "No matter what comes next. I'll make it bearable. I'll make us safe. I'll always fight for this us." Ariana's eyes glistened as she leaned into him, inhaling the warmth of his jacket, the faint scent of cedar and pine that clung to his coat. "I love that about you," she murmured. "The way you fight. Not for glory or recognition, but for the people you care about. For love." He smiled, a slow, genuine smile that reached his eyes. "And I love you," he replied. "For everything you are. For your strength, your honesty, your fire. For the way you forgive, even when it's hard. For the way you choose love every day." Ariana pressed her lips to his shoulder, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "I didn't know love could be like this," she said softly. "Quiet, steady, patient. Not frantic or desperate. Not dependent on perfection or grand gestures. Just being there. Just choosing each other. That's the kind of love that lasts," Blawan said. "The kind that survives storms, mistakes, misunderstandings. The kind that doesn't fade when life gets hard, but grows stronger. That's what we have." They sat together for hours, talking about small things. Books they wanted to read, recipes they wanted to try, plans for the spring. And they talked about larger things, too. Past regrets, lessons learned, fears for the future. Every word, every shared memory, strengthened the bond that had taken years to build. As midnight approached, Blawan stood and walked to the window. The world outside was quiet, the snow still falling in perfect silence. He turned to Ariana, his face soft in the firelight. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if we hadn't met?" Ariana tilted her head, considering. "All the time," she admitted. "But it doesn't matter. Because we did meet. And here we are. And that's what matters. Not what could have been. Not the paths we didn't take. Only what we have now." He crossed the room, kneeling in front of her on the floor, taking her hands in his. "Then let's promise," he said quietly, "that no matter what comes, no matter what mistakes we make, no matter the storms, we will always choose each other. Always." Ariana nodded, eyes brimming with tears. "Always," she agreed. Outside, the snow continued to fall, each flake a tiny reminder of time passing, of moments fleeting, of beauty in small things. And inside the cottage, Blawan and Ariana began to plan a life that would honor the lessons of their past. The pain, the fear, the heartbreak, and the strength of love that had survived it all. They spoke about the business they had built together, the ways they could expand it without losing sight of their values, the importance of helping others avoid the mistakes they had made. They spoke of family, of friends, of loyalty, and trust. Every word, every plan, every hope for the future was rooted in the truth they had discovered together. Love was not easy, but it was worth fighting for. The next morning, sunlight filtered through the frosted windows, casting a golden glow across the room. Ariana woke first, turning to see Blawan still asleep beside her, the faintest smile on his lips. She traced the golden ring on her finger, the small symbol of memory and permanence, and whispered softly, "We made it." Blawan stirred, opening his eyes slowly, smiling when he saw her. "We did," he said. "And we'll keep making it. Every day. Together." They made breakfast together, laughing over spilled coffee and slightly burnt toast, sharing the kind of easy intimacy that comes only after years of knowing someone deeply. Each laugh, each shared glance, each simple act of care reminded them that they had built a life worth keeping. Over the following weeks, they explored the forest around the cottage, walked through snow-laden paths, and sat by frozen streams, watching the ice form delicate patterns. They talked about dreams, future adventures, children, a life beyond the city, but also about the importance of being present, of savoring what they had built together. One evening, sitting on the porch wrapped in blankets, Ariana looked at Blau, her head resting against his shoulder. "Do you think we'll ever stop growing?" she asked. "Never," he said immediately. "We'll grow together separately, in ways we can't even imagine yet. But that's the beauty of it. Growth is endless. Love is endless." She smiled against him, feeling the warmth of his body and the steadiness of his presence. "And forgiveness?" she asked quietly. "Do you think we've truly learned it?" "Yes," he said, voice firm but gentle. "Not just for each other, but for ourselves. Forgiveness is the courage to see the truth of what happened, to acknowledge it, and to choose not to be defined by it. We've done that. And we will continue to do that, always." They sat in silence for a long while, watching the sky darken and the first stars appear, each one a tiny reminder of hope, possibility, and the vastness of the life ahead of them. As winter turned to spring, they began planting a garden around the cottage. Blau dug the holes, Ariana planted seeds, and together they tended to the small shoots that would grow into flowers and vegetables. It was an exercise in patience, in nurturing, in creating something beautiful that would outlast them. "Life is a lot like this garden," Blau said one afternoon, wiping sweat from his brow. "You have to plant the seeds, tend them carefully, and sometimes the growth takes longer than you expect. But eventually, if you've cared for it properly, it flourishes." Ariana smiled, brushing dirt from her hands. "And sometimes it surprises you, blooms where you least expect it." He nodded. "Exactly. And that's what we have. We've nurtured this life together. It's ours to grow, and it's ours to protect." They spent hours talking about travel, places they wanted to see, books they wanted to write, and the people they wanted to help. Their conversations were filled with both ambition and reflection, each idea rooted in the lessons of their past and the love that had carried them through it. Evenings were often spent by the fire, planning, dreaming, and sometimes simply sitting together in quiet companionship, each moment a testament to the resilience of their love. Months passed. Seasons shifted. The forest surrounding the cottage transformed, shedding winter's white for spring's green. The garden flourished, the cottage grew warmer and more alive with memories, and Blau and Ariana grew ever closer, bound by shared experience, trust, and a profound understanding of what it truly meant to choose love. They faced small challenges, disagreements over the garden layout, decisions about the business, but every challenge was met with patience, reflection, and compromise. They discovered that love was not about perfection, but about commitment to growth, to understanding, to each other. And as spring turned into summer, the sun streaming through the trees and warming their home, Ariana realized something she had never fully understood before. Life was not about avoiding pain or mistakes. It was about facing them together and emerging stronger on the other side. Blau, watching her from across the room as she sketched designs for the garden in her notebook, saw the same truth reflected in her eyes, the same recognition of endurance, of patience, of love's quiet power. They were building something lasting, something beyond themselves. And in that knowledge, they found joy, contentment, and the unwavering certainty that they were exactly where they were meant to be. Summer settled over the Cascade Mountains in a haze of golden sunlight, the forest alive with birdsong and the hum of insects. Blau and Ariana woke early most mornings, sharing quiet coffee on the porch before the day fully began. The snow had melted, revealing moss-covered rocks and hidden paths through the woods, and they spent hours exploring, finding small waterfalls, hidden clearings, and fields of wildflowers. Ariana often paused to sketch or make notes, capturing the shapes of leaves, the way sunlight hit the stream, or the patterns in the clouds. Blau would sit nearby, sometimes reading, sometimes just watching her, fascinated by the way her mind seemed to weave beauty into everything she touched. "You know," he said one morning, leaning against a tree as she sketched, "I never thought I'd enjoy mornings like this. Quiet, slow, no urgency. Just life happening around us." Ariana looked up, a smile playing at her lips. "It's peaceful," she admitted. "And somehow, even when it's simple, it feels alive. You feel it too, don't you?" He nodded, his eyes following a bird that darted through the branches. "I do. I always thought happiness had to be dramatic. Fireworks, chaos, intensity. But this is real. This is lasting. The days passed in a rhythm that felt both new and familiar. Tending to the garden, preparing meals together, maintaining the cottage, taking long walks, and sometimes simply sitting together in silence, letting the world move around them while they stayed rooted in each other's presence. One afternoon, Ariana pulled Blawan aside while they were clearing weeds in the garden. "I've been thinking," she said, brushing dirt from her hands, "about the people we used to be before we met. The ones who were scared, lost, and trying to figure everything out. Sometimes I wonder if we're really the same people, or if we've become someone new entirely." Blawan looked at her thoughtfully. "We've changed," he admitted. "But we're also the sum of every choice we made before. The mistakes, the heartbreaks, the losses, they shaped us. But now we're stronger, smarter, more capable of loving each other fully." Ariana nodded, eyes scanning the garden, noticing the small sprouts breaking through the soil. "Growth doesn't happen overnight," she murmured. "Not for plants, not for people. But we're proving it. Slowly, steadily, together." He reached for her hand, the sunlight glinting off the golden ring. "Exactly. And that's why I love this life we've built. It's patient. It's steady. It's ours. And every day it teaches us something new." That evening, after the sun dipped below the mountains and the fire was lit in the hearth, they settled together on the couch. Blawan rested his head against Ariana's shoulder, and she ran her fingers through his hair, a simple act that had become a comfort, a ritual, and a reminder that they were home in each other. "I never realized," Ariana said quietly, "how much courage it takes to stay, to keep choosing someone, day after day, after everything we've been through. But I get it now. And I want to keep choosing you." "And I choose you," Blawan said, his voice steady. "Every day. No matter what comes. The hard days, the mistakes, the storms. I choose you." The fire crackled, the shadows flickering across the walls, and for a while, they simply existed in that space of trust and understanding, their pasts acknowledged but no longer defining them. Weeks turned into months. Fall approached, and the forest shifted from green to gold and crimson. The wind carried a chill, hinting at the coming winter, but inside the cottage, warmth remained. Blawan and Ariana spent time preparing the cottage for the colder months, stacking firewood, sealing windows, and preserving vegetables from the garden. Each task, while mundane, felt like a part of building their shared life, a testament to cooperation, respect, and love. One afternoon, while walking along the edge of a cliff overlooking a river, Ariana paused. "Do you ever think about the future?" she asked. "About where we're going, what comes next?" Blawan considered the question, the wind tugging at his jacket. "All the time," he admitted, "but not in a way that worries me. I think about the life we're building, how we want to live, what we want to become. And I trust us. I trust that whatever comes, we'll face it together." She smiled at him, brushing a stray leaf from his sleeve. "I trust us too. I think that's the key. Trust and choice. Choosing each other over and over, even when it's not easy." "And it won't always be easy," he said gently. "We'll face challenges. Life won't wait for us to be ready. Mistakes will happen. Misunderstandings. Pain. But we'll meet them head-on together." Ariana nodded, feeling the truth of his words. "That's what makes this life real," she said. "Not perfection but effort. Not certainty but trust. Not easy but meaningful." As winter arrived, snow once again blanketed the mountains, and the forest transformed into a silent white world. Blawan and Ariana spent long nights by the fire, planning the year ahead, reminiscing about the years they had endured, and dreaming of what was yet to come. They made a habit of journaling together, recording small victories, lessons learned, moments of joy, and times when patience and forgiveness had been tested. Each entry became a record of growth, a testament to their journey, and a reminder that love was something that required attention, reflection, and care. One evening, after a long day clearing snow from the paths, Ariana looked at Blawan, her face illuminated by the firelight. "Do you ever get scared?" she asked. "Scared that we'll lose this, or that life will pull us apart again?" He shook his head slowly. "Not scared," he said. "Aware. Aware that life is fragile, that nothing is guaranteed. But scared? No. Because we have each other, and that's stronger than fear. That's stronger than anything life can throw at us. Ariana leaned against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart beneath her cheek. I love that about you, she said softly. Your confidence. Your faith. Your ability to stay grounded when the world is spinning around us. And I love that about you, Blawan replied. Your heart. Your determination. Your ability to face everything, even the darkness, with courage. Together, we're unstoppable. Together, we're enough. The months flowed into years, each season marking a new chapter in their lives. Spring brought blossoms and new growth. Summer brought warmth, long walks and laughter. Fall brought reflection and planning. Winter brought quiet nights by the fire, storytelling, and the reassurance of a life built on shared resilience and trust. Through it all, they faced challenges. Business negotiations that threatened stability, old family tensions resurfacing, and moments of self-doubt that tested their commitment. Yet through every difficulty, they returned to the same principle: communication, forgiveness, and unwavering choice. One spring morning, as the first wildflowers bloomed in the garden, Ariana looked at Blawan, a quiet determination in her eyes. Do you ever wonder if we're exactly where we're supposed to be? He took her hand, looking into her eyes with a mixture of wonder and certainty. Every day, he said. And every day I realize that we are. Not by luck. Not by chance. But because we chose it. Because we chose each other every step of the way. Ariana smiled, resting her forehead against his. And we'll keep choosing, she whispered. Always, Blawan replied. They turned back to the garden, to the tasks ahead, to the life they were building. Every day was a lesson, every challenge a chance to grow, every small moment a testament to the enduring power of love. And as the sun rose higher, casting golden light across the mountains and the cottage, Ariana realized that life was not about avoiding mistakes, fear, or pain. It was about choosing courage, compassion, and love in the face of it all. And with Blawan by her side, she knew that no matter what storms came, they would face them together. Because love, true love, was not simply a feeling. It was a choice. A daily decision to grow, forgive, trust, and commit. And that choice, over the years and the seasons, had brought them to a place of quiet triumph, strength, and enduring happiness. They were still learning, still growing, still discovering the depth of their bond. But every day reaffirmed the truth they had found together. That love was worth every struggle, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt. And that their shared life, rooted in patience, forgiveness, and choice, was exactly what they had been fighting to find all along. And so, as the seasons continued to turn and the mountains stood witness to their lives, Blawan and Ariana carried on, quietly, steadily, bravely, building a life that was as real as it was beautiful. One choice, one moment, one shared breath at a time. Kahan si dek rahi ho? YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Yakahin or comment section mi liko, mui bohat curious hi, eyes. Or Han, Agar Apko story Pazand Aa Rahi Hi, to like or subscribe Karna Mat Bolna. Yellow Heart.